morning, American. It's Friday.
It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Oh, yes, it is time for Mornings at 8. It is, about 6 minutes after 8 o'clock on a Friday morning. Friday. Finally, Friday. Yippee. Here comes the weekend, and we're off and going. Listening to a Fox News there, Tom Riccati is a reporter for Fox News. You've heard him on the air, right? And Tom Riccati used to work here at WLEA. That was back, 25 years ago or so. Anyway, so now he's working at Fox News, and you hear him not too often, but you do hear him occasionally. And he's now working at Fox News, and he used to work here. Nice. Okay.
He was here in 1993.
Just about 20, a little more than 25 years ago. Really, it was that long ago.
1993, Jonathan.
Wow, time flies, baby. I'll tell you, man, it really flies.
I should email him and ask him if he's got any air checks from here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Huh. 1993? Really? It was that long ago, huh? Okay, fine. Very good. Yes. Where do I start here? As Brian mentioned on his newscast, there is going to be a fundraiser for Hornell firefighter Chris Cartella, who suffered a stroke in August. And I'm told that rehabilitation from a stroke is lengthy, it's arduous, it's a burden. It really is a burden. And Chris has a wife and 4 children, and, it affects the entire family. And they need your help. And one thing I've noticed about this area, I've noticed this for all the years I've been here, is when somebody is in trouble and they need help, people are there to help. And it's not necessarily that way in other places, but here it is. I've lived in a lot of places, but I've never seen anything like the Canisteo Valley area where somebody needs help and people will jump in and help them. And he needs your help. So, this evening at 7 o'clock at the main place, there'll be a fundraiser for Chris Cartella. It's $15 a ticket. So he did a lot to help the area as his time as a firefighter, and now he needs your help. So there you go. Also, coming up tomorrow, the Autumn Fest will be held at the United Methodist Church of Hornell. That's on the Main Street, the North Main Street extension, and that goes from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff there: seasonal crafts, baked goods, jewelry, crocheted and knitted items, books, that's good, cheeses, a Christmas table, Tupperware, Pampered Chef, luncheon, and much more. And that will be tomorrow, 9 till 3, United Methodist Church of Hornell. And then on Sunday from 3 till 5, again at the main place, there will be the Steuben County Democrats are holding sort of a Meet the Candidates type affair, I guess you call it. Meet the Candidate, called Oktoberfest. And that'll go from 3 till 5 in the afternoon, Sunday at the main place. Let me see. Admission is $10. And that will get you either 2 glasses of beer or 2 glasses of wine and pizza and wings. How can you possibly go wrong, right? So that'll be at the main place on Sunday. Now, earlier this week, the U.S. Congress, the House, voted overwhelmingly, just overwhelmingly, to condemn President Trump and his decision to withdraw troops from Syria. And it was both Democrats and Republicans. However, there was one Republican we know of who was not in favor of condemning the president, and that is Congressman Tom Reed. And he explains why.
I oppose that resolution because, as I stated previously, when President Obama was in office and seeking to put boots on the ground in Syria, I did not see the mission there, and I did not support the boots on the ground in Syria at that time. And I'm glad to see our men and women coming home under this order. And also, let's be very clear, to those members who voted in support of this, to me, the political cowardice demonstrated by this was appalling because, one of the things that has happened is that members of Congress are not doing their job in regards to authorizing the use of military force in these areas around the world like Syria. And what that's called is an authorization of use of military force here in D.C. resolution. I've called for that resolution when President Obama we had the famous red lines being put in the sand, and that we as members, Congress, should go on record whether or not we support the boots on the ground in Syria. And as those troops existed in Syria here recently until the president ordered their withdrawal, I see no legal basis that authorized those troops to be there. And so I'm glad to see our men and women coming home. And I'm also very glad to see the news out of Turkey and Syria today where we applaud peace. And now our men and women are safe, that we're engaged in that conflict, and we have security and peace in the area in regards to the violence that everyone was concerned about. So it's a complicated matter, but my first and foremost priority is to make sure that our men and women in the military are given a clear mission, and that we in Congress match up with the Commander-in-Chief in regards to authorizing that mission, and then when that mission is successfully completed, we get our men and women home back to their families in a safe and sound manner.
And speaking about violence, ISIS is a pretty violent group. So now that we will withdraw our troops, what about ISIS?
I do believe in this, in the initial reports, and this is what we're going to look at closely, that as part of this ceasefire, there's been mutual agreement by the Turks, the Kurds, and our partners in that region of the world that are going to make sure that the ISIS threat that is there is contained and mitigated. And so I'm confident that there's mutual interest in making sure that ISIS threat is eradicated and nullified going forward.
You know, the Mideast is nothing but a tangle. How complex, how complicated. Anyway, Reed says he's been in Washington for, 10 years now or something. Anyways, he says he's been there a long time. And it's kind of strange how things change. And he says both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, are not really doing their job.
I'm talking about both Democrat and Republican colleagues because I have heard the rhetoric. I have seen the chest thumping firsthand in multiple meetings over the last 10 years almost being here in Congress. And when it comes to putting their voting card in the box and authorizing the use of military force, the same people that are so proud to condemn this decision of bringing our troops home and advocating for our troops to remain on Syrian soil were the same individuals that were speaking a different tune just a few years back under President Obama's administration. So I'm calling out both sides of that.
Isn't that kind of interesting? And, I just, as we were listening to Congressman Reed, I thought, historically, Democrats are anti-war. I mean, they're anti-war. They don't want us being here, and they don't want us being there, and, we shouldn't be there, and all of a sudden they're condemning the president for pulling troops out. I really don't understand that, but Washington's a pretty complicated place. Yes, about as complicated as the Mideast. Okay. Speaking of Washington, where money in Washington is kind of an abstract concept. It doesn't really exist. I mean, if you could say a number, then that's how much money you have, right? Okay. Elizabeth Warren. This is from Bloomberg. Elizabeth Warren took a lot of flack at this week's Democrat presidential debate for being evasive about the taxes needed to pay for the, get this, $30 trillion Medicare for All plan she champions. And there's a reason for her being vague. Her team hasn't yet figured out how to pay for it. I guess you just print more money and there it is. Anyway, this is from an economics professor at the University of California at Berkeley, hardly a right-wing group. His name is Emmanuel Saez. Anyway, her taxes, he says, her taxes as they currently exist are not enough yet to cover fully replacing health insurance. That's what he told Bloomberg News on Wednesday. Warren, who campaigns on the theme that she has a plan for everything, is relying on the wealthy and big corporations to pay for her vision of restructuring American society, including funding student debt, free college, universal health care, green energy, and affordable housing plans. It's only money. As I said, she's promised to fully cover those costs with her big ideas: a wealth tax, corporate surtax, an increase in the estate tax, and the elimination of President Trump's tax cuts. But she's decided to adopt Bernie Sanders' government-run health care plan rather than develop one on her own. Sanders acknowledged in Tuesday's debate that taxes will go up, but neither of them have detailed how much or who those taxes would hit. So, as I said in the past, and a lot of people have said it before me, eventually you run out of other people's money, and then what do? So you have a plan in place, and it's going, and when you run out of other people's money, it's all over.
When you run out of other people's money, you turn to meteorologist Gary Best and see if he has any.
Yeah, show me the money. That's what I say. We've got the sunrise this morning at 7:28 a.m. It will set at 6:25 p.m., and it's going to be a mostly cloudy day overall. Not a whole lot of sun out there. Breezy and cool, about 45 to 50 during this afternoon. Tonight the skies clear out. We drop back into the range of 32 to 36. A decent fall weekend is coming up with near to above normal temperatures by Sunday. Mostly sunny on Saturday, right around 60, low 40s at night. And Sunday, partly to mostly sunny in the 60s. Eventually some rain will be back in the forecast by next Tuesday.
Okay, not too bad. Certainly feels like fall.
Yep, a typical fall weekend coming up, and then we kind of warm things up a bit by early next week.
Okay, that'll be now. Typically, I think it's called an Indian summer, right?
That's after we had the first frost and freeze. Then, if we get temperatures, I think above 70, that's called Indian summer.
Okay, because we had a hard frost last Saturday night. It was a hard frost. So who knows? Maybe warm weather's coming again, which means I got to mow.
We may be near 70 at some point over the next few weeks. That's right.
That means I got to mow the lawn again. Darn. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Gary. Okay, bye.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Ralph Irvin.
Thursday night, Houston showed that they are so far the best team in the American League Championship Series with an 8-3 win over the New York Yankees. The Astros now have a 3-1 series lead. Here's Yankees manager Aaron Boone.
We didn't make a couple plays, and that's frustrating, obviously, and I think our guys are frustrated over that. But again, it's imperative that we not dwell on it, and we need to get past this, and I know our guys will.
Game 5 of this series is tonight. Of course, an Astros win will send them to the World Series, where they will take on the Washington Nationals. The NFL kicked off Week 7 of the season Thursday night with Kansas City winning in Denver 30-6. It was a costly victory, though, as the Chiefs lost quarterback Patrick Mahomes in the second quarter with a dislocated kneecap. He'll have an MRI later today to determine the severity of the injury.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The strike against General Motors will continue until rank-and-file workers approve a new contract. Local union leaders voted to extend the month-long walkout, even though there's a tentative agreement. The Wall Street Journal says the union managed to negotiate victories on wages, health care, and temporary workers, but GM will continue with plans to close 3 U.S. factories. AT&T and investment firm Elliott Management are discussing Elliott's campaign for change at the company. Elliott revealed 5 weeks ago that it purchased a stake in AT&T and was demanding the company sell or spin off parts of the business. Charles Schwab is about to let investors buy fractions of shares of stock. It's a move to get younger investors into trading pricey shares. The Dow was up 23 yesterday. NASDAQ added 32, S&P up 8. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 10% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. The Ryan Agency is not beholden to any one insurance company. They work with many companies, offering unbiased insurance advice. Their interest is seeking your best interest. Contact the Ryan Agencies. Good people offering unbiased advice, seeking your best interest.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai, drive away in a new Hyundai Tucson lease for only $229 a month. A new 2019 all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE model equipped with 17-inch alloy wheels, touchscreen media, and rear view monitor, lease with no money down for $229 a month for 36 months. Only tax and DMV fees are due at signing. Shop Simmons-Rockwell.com.
Oh, right before the break there, I was talking about the money, okay? 30 trillion for a healthcare plan by Elizabeth Warren. $30 trillion. What comes after a trillion? I think it's a quadrillion. I think a quadrillion is like 1,000 trillion or something. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, as I said, if you could say a number, you have that much money, right? Or write it out, you have that much money. Well, that's 30 trillion there. How about 23 billion a year to provide health insurance to illegal immigrants? That's right, study finds. So, $23 billion a year to provide health insurance for illegal immigrants. There you go. In the span of just a few months, now where did I find this? Fox News. In the span of just a few months, the idea of providing health care to illegal immigrants has morphed from a fringe left-wing fancy to a plank of May 2020 Democrat presidential campaigns. But it's a proposal that one study predicts would cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars a year. A standout moment of the June 27th Democrat primary debate was that of all the candidates on stage raising their hands, just like this, signifying support for government health care plans, including undocumented immigrants. Okay, but with the campaign definitely not over and a number of frontrunners now backing the policy, more attention is turning to how much it would cost to give millions of illegal immigrants health insurance. The Center for Immigration Studies, a policy group that advocates for lower levels of immigration overall, published a study finding that the cost would be up to $23 billion a year. Okay, let me see. I'm sure it's right. The study finds that if all income-eligible, uninsured illegal immigrants receive subsidies under the ACA or the Obamacare, then the cost to insure them would be $22.6 billion. And then we go to, that's right. There's Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, that's right, who was an early champion of left-favored policies now finding their way onto 2020 platforms, recently introduced a new package of policies known as the Just Society. And among those bills is the Embrace Act, which would allow illegal immigrants to claim the same welfare benefits as U.S. citizens and those in the country legally. Okay, AOC, there you go. Now, exactly how many illegal immigrants are there? Well, usually we hear 11 million. Right, 11 million illegal immigrants. But President Trump's top immigration spokesman said that there are potentially 22 million illegal immigrants inside the United States. So that's nearly twice the estimated 11 million. Ken Cuccinelli, the acting director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which handles the legal immigration process, said the number comes from a study done by MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, hardly a right-wing organization. That study puts the number at 22.1 million illegal immigrants. And I don't have a calculator in front of me, but the population is approximately, give or take, 330 million. And the 22 million illegally, that would be, my spur-of-the-moment math isn't always good. I made a couple of mistakes. But that would be roughly 1 in 15 people is here illegally? 1 in 15. Right. 5, 10, 15. Yeah, approximately 1 in 15 are here illegally. That's kind of interesting. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this is from Madison, Wisconsin. And where do they find? Oh, it's on a TV station there. The city of Madison signed onto a statewide resolution declaring racism as a public health crisis. Now, how do they figure that? Well, the move brings no additional programming or funding, but those who run programs for youth of color and people of color in Madison say this is a good step for the city to take. Who's this guy? Alexander G. Jr., the president and founder of the Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership and Development. He says, I'm glad that someone is recognizing it as a health issue, because then maybe now we'll take greater measures in addressing the issues. Now, I could see where racism is bad. I mean, it's a bad thing, right? Of course, I think probably everybody agrees on that's a bad thing. But as a health thing, well, here's his reasoning. He said it's now been proven that the stress caused by the pressures of racism is a leading indicator of health disparities for African Americans. We now know that because of stress, we, African Americans, are contracting diseases faster than our white counterparts and then dying sooner. Okay. Anyway, the city of Madison joins 32 other organizations in Wisconsin that have signed on to the resolution, agree something more needs to be done. Reuben Anthony, the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison, said especially with national conversation on immigration and the shooting of unarmed black people, the health of people of color is in danger. He says the messages that we get from our national leaders and the climate that we're creating from saying certain people are not welcomed in this country, I haven't seen something like that in my lifetime. I don't know. Who says that certain people aren't welcome in this country? If you're here illegally, I don't think that's too awfully good a thing. But if you're here legally, everybody's welcome. If you come here legally, fine. You could come from Mars. Who cares, as long as you come here legally. So I don't know exactly what he's talking about there, and I hear the sounder. And that seems to be it for this week's show. And I will see you Monday at 8:05. Bye.